Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ian from Equity Warehouse. We're back with another episode of How Investing Changed My Life. I have the wonderful opportunity to be interviewing a very close friend of ours, former coworker. He's now raised through the ranks. So I don't even know what to call him anymore, but I think he's a chief. But I get to introduce Mike Hogan. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, just chilling. I think we need to preface this conversation. We like to introduce everyone to our investors and just so people see how it works. But I think we should preface it with you're sitting in your house and your vehicle at the same time.
That's right. I'm currently sitting in the BJ's parking lot in Canton. Went in and got some food to make this morning and cooked the food up. And I'm sitting here and figuring out where I'm going to park today.
Yeah, love it. I mean, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, how you've been able to, invest some money and be able to live life on the road and still be a fireman. But if you want to go ahead, just introduce everyone. I guess your place of employment. It's hard for me to ask because I know your place of employment, but your place of employment and what you do for a living.
So my name is Mike, currently in the Baltimore City Fire Department. I've been in the department going on 13 years now. Been very fortunate to do well on promotional exams, and I'm currently a battalion chief here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so we got introduced through work, and a lot of the guys would sit around the firehouse table, talk shit on me and Dan. This shit never works, blah 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 this, blah 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 that. But the ones that know have joined us and started investing. But what was it for you? Like, were you doing any what attracted you to this type of investment, like investing side by side with Equity Warehouse?
So basically, I looked at it as I knew I wanted to do something with investing where I could make passive income. So for me, though, with my lifestyle of being on the road, I didn't really want to get into it myself. And some people might say that's lazy or the easy way out, but I don't want to have to be stressed out about landlording or and just the time and effort. And really, I've focused a lot of my time and effort on my career. So the first one that I got into was this Squarespace one. And I think that was November of 2021, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just sitting around, I had already, I was just looking for different ways to deploy some extra income and make my money work for itself. I'd already had maxed out my deferred comp. I've messed around with some stocks, but I don't have time to sit around and read what that stock's doing, read what that stock. So really my biggest asset to me in my life is time. So if I could make my money work for itself, it was a no-brainer. So I went in on the first one. It's kind of like a test run, and then immediately seeing, a dividend for making my money worth. And then I started figuring out, well, if I could work this much overtime and put it in on the next one, that overtime is really going to turn into double that, or and it's going to continue to work for itself. So for me, that was it, just to be able to have another source of income that is passive, that I'm not doing anything for. Yeah, I had to work for the money originally to put in, but after that, it's been up, and I've been it's kind of like a drug now. Like, I'm always asking you, when's the next deal, because it makes it so nice every 3 months when you see your bank statement, and it's like, wow, like, this is money that I didn't have to work overtime for, and it comes in, and you just do whatever. My goal is going to do, keep rolling them into the next one, and hopefully if the city ever brings the 20 years back, I'll be able to roll out of the 20 years. But if I have to stay to 25, then I will.
And I think that's an important thing, is like, how many guys do we know that were like, all right, I'm retiring, and they got 35, 40 years. All right, what are you going to retire? Like, you're retiring. What are you going to go do? Travel the world? Like, do something cool? I'm going to go get a job at Home Depot or Walmart. I'm like, dude, wait, you're leaving to go get another job? Like, I think that's something that, like, because when we look for, and this is not like an investor pitch, but like when we look for investors, we make sure they have the same common goals. And I know one of your goals is, like, you just spent a month down in Mexico. And it's like, yeah, I know my income's coming in. I don't have to worry about all this stuff. You're able to do that. And I think, too many firemen in general. I mean, you see all walks of life, especially at your ranks now. You see all walks of life, and you got to discipline them and have hard conversations with people. But not many blue collar workers in general really respect the fact of getting that money to work for you, so you don't always have to do the hard work later on in life.
Yeah, and that's funny you bring it up. Just the other day, I was talking to somebody. Their deferred comp, they're doing 25 a pay, and they have like 18 years in. I'm like,
just real quick for guys, so you know, that's like a 401k type pension investment plan with no match from the city. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, do you realize? Like I said, just trying to explain it to him. Like, he's like, well, I'll get to it in a couple years. I was like, well, if you can get to it now, that amount in a couple years is going to be worth well more. And it's just the mindset. I'm like, man, you're never going to be able to like retire. I mean, if something happens, you're banking everything on the pension fund, and that's something I didn't talk that I mentioned earlier. Was investing with you guys is a backup to the pension fund. I mean, everybody in the fire service is familiar with what happened in Detroit, Baltimore. I'm hoping it never does, but there is a chance that pension may not be there when we retire, and it's a scary thought. But you need to have different ways to have income, because if it's not there, you're screwed.
Yep. Yeah, and that's how we got started, is because we got hired in 07 and 08 and all hell broke loose, and we were like, we got to find our own way. It was a similar story for us. Just we decided to go the active route, and you've taken the other route on the passive side. But you know what? You still get the same benefits, and I think that's important, because whether it is a pension system or it is Social Security, neither are guaranteed to be there. They're both supposed to be a supplement to everything else that you're doing. And I mean, it's just in our field of work. I mean, dude, the guys have the nicest trucks, the nicest vehicles, the nicest clothes, and you're like, dude, you're not putting any money away. And like, when you leave to go collect your pension, it's not like you got all this money, like you still have life to live. And so yeah, it's very interesting to see how people treat it and how people view it. And just, the simple fact that, when you started investing with us was a few years ago, considerably you were younger, right? Like, we're all younger per se, to even have that forethought to put the money away. And I know the guys in the fire department that invest with us, we all seem to have this similar mindset of like, dude, let's put the money away. Let's get it to work for us. And at a later date, we'll enjoy the fruits of our labor. And I think that's a point that gets missed a lot. What are your plans for investing? And like, other than what we're doing, do you put money elsewhere, or is like this and a couple other buckets? Like, what works well for you with your lifestyle of being on, coming to work for a few months and then going back out on the road for a few months?
Yeah, so I have my main job with the fire department. Then I have 2 part-time jobs that I do remote. I sell software for. I work for a guy that has a software that sells people on how to train. You basically take a picture of a building, add fire, smoke, do size up training. So I do that part-time, maybe 5 or 10 hours a week, and then I also do consulting as well for fire departments, for a company that basically fire departments will pay this company. We'll come in, and then we'll say, hey, we want a long-term plan, a master plan. We want a short-term plan. Or we're going to build a new fire station. We want to know where that is. So that kind of helps me make a little bit of money on the road to kind of supplement what I would have done in overtime. And not that I need the overtime, but when you max out your deferred, and then when you're saving money for other things, the overtime is nice to help have fun, so you're not having to pull from that money that you're saving up. And then I have a Roth, but fortunately this year I did well with everything, and I wasn't able to max out my Roth, so I'm going to have to look at doing a backdoor Roth next year. I maxed out my deferred. I have a brokerage account through Northwest Mutual. I have a financial advisor there, and I put some money in there. And then for my 2 part-time jobs, last year I formed a SEP IRA, because I'm basically an independent contractor. So I formed a LLC for those 2. And then I have a SEP IRA for both of those.
Yeah, so I mean, you're well diversified, and that's always a funny one. Is everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not going to invest with you. It's like it's too risky." I'm like, "Yeah, but like you let your money sit in the pension, or like, you go buy stocks, and you can't like you can call me up and yell at me. You know what I mean? You can call Dan and be like, "Yo, what the f? Like, what is going on?" But it's good, but it also is good to be diversified across it all, right? Something could happen to us, something could happen to the stock, something could happen to the pension system. Having multiple buckets, having multiple backup plans, I think that's really smart. So that's exciting to see. More importantly, where's your next big trip? You just spent a month in Mexico living on a beach. Sounds amazing. Where's the next big trip you got lined up?
Next big trip is probably going to be Canada and Alberta. I'm going to hit the national parks, Banff, Jasper. Goal is summer. So my two things of living in, well, my one thing of living in the rig is I have to kind of skip the extremes. So winters, I went to Mexico, and then summers I'll look to go up north somewhere, whether it's Maine, whether it's the Northeast, or whether it's over Pacific Northwest, just to kind of, although I do have all the, AC and heat and everything, at the end of the day, it is an RV. So it's insulated, but it's not insulated as well as a new house would be. So to be able to miss the extremes are my goal. So I'm looking to head out July 4th. I work. So I'm looking to head out July 5th and hopefully be gone another month and a half, which is funny. There's actually a coworker that I have to address because they were talking shit about how I'm able to take so much time off, or that I shouldn't be allowed to take that much time off. And it's funny. It's an accrued, like it's my accrued leave. Right. It would be the same thing as if I had a baby and went on family leave. It's my accrued leave. I just have made the choice not to have kids right now. So I have a lot of time saved up. So I had almost 1,000 hours of PTO saved up. I burned through about 250 of it for my Mexico trip, but I still have plenty of PTO. It's kind of funny how, like you said, guys were talking shit about Dan and you doing the thing. It's like people, and I don't know if it's just the fire department or if it's all life. But it's like people are always hating on people for doing well or doing something with their life, and it blows my mind.
Well, you're not doing the norm, right? You're not doing the 9 to 5, or in our line of work. My vacation number every 6 weeks, whatever, and I'm just going to take it. I'm going to sit around the house. I'm going to do, like, you're not doing the norm. We weren't doing the norm by like quitting the fire department. It was like mind blowing to people to be like, "You're leaving this job." I was like, "Yeah, dude. Like, we love this job, but there's also more to life." And when you don't do the norm, people, that's how it is. But in the same sense, I look at your investment, your vacation account or hours, the way I did was that's an investment vehicle. I rather work out swaps or whatever it was to get off of work, but save that vacation time because it's worth more later. So early in your career, you're earning those hours, and now later on, you can use them in a better fashion, or you can enjoy them better, or you do go to retire, you can cash them out at a higher rate. That's another investment vehicle that I don't think a lot of firemen or police officers or anyone that's in that line of work think about. Man, that's another legit investment, because when we left the fire department, it was a nice sized check that I got. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was worth that much. Or like you just said, hey, I'm going to work my butt off over the next few months. Maybe I take some comp time or whatever it is, and I'm going to go enjoy life because I've chosen to do that. I think it's smart, and the more people that talk shit, that means you're doing something right. So
exactly, and that's investing with you guys and getting that income every 3 months has allowed me, instead of taking the overtime as cash as I used to, I take it as the comp time. So now I'm still working just as much as I would, but overtime, a couple shifts a month. When I first came in, I would hit it hard like every day, but over the last couple of years, I've kind of phased back because, like I said, I really value time now more than I did when I was younger. I think as you get older, you realize, oh shit, like, let me do the shit that I want to do. But having that, basically, your guys' investments is my overtime checks, and then I use overtime as comp time to be able to have more time off to go enjoy life. And especially now that being not that I'm old or not that I'm young, middle aged, it's nice to be able to explore that shit and do the shit that I wanted to do, that I was said, oh, I'll wait till I retire, I'll do this when I retire. Yeah. Who the hell knows when that will be, or who the hell knows what type of health I'll be in. So,
well, but that was always the thing, man. Young man's game. I mean, one step, one wrong thing on a fire ground, and you break an ankle, you break a rib, you hurt your back and can never come back ever, right? Like, there's things change all the time, as we know. In a moment's notice, 5 lives, 5 of our friends were taken away in a matter of seconds. And it's not something that we all experience. And the fact that people want to wait, you worked with I don't want to say his name, but a lieutenant that was out at 8 truck that had almost 50 years on the job. And I just remember, I'm like, what are you doing, Lieutenant? Like, you worked in both riots. Like, there has to be more to life. Or the one Airflex driver. And I was just like, you retired and then came back to work because you didn't like being retired because you were so institutionalized. And I just think you need to think bigger. And I'm not saying that you can't love the job and that you don't have to love what you do, but there is so much more to what is out there side by side with having the investment vehicle that allows you to not have to take overtime, that doesn't allow you to be forced to say, oh, I got to serve these suspension days because I can't afford to do it, or whatever it is. And ultimately it produces better contracts for all the men and women that are working because they're not as desperate for the cash. And I think the one big this has turned more into not a highlight, but a table talk is early on in the academy, man, nobody really fiscal responsibility. Me and Dan say it all the time. If they could teach that early on in people's careers as a whole, it would mean so much more. Really, the whole country. It's more than just firemen. It's everyone that has this fiscal responsibility issue that causes all the issues throughout the country. But that's another time, another place, another cup of coffee that we can resolve that. So, but Mike, thanks for coming on, man. Look forward to seeing some pictures from your trip up to the Northwest. I know you'll be chasing 70 degrees. Sounds like a horrible life. I hope you enjoy it. And we really appreciate you joining us here today and letting everybody know how you're investing and what's working for you.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to come back any other time and chat about some other things.
Hell yeah, man. All right, enjoy, guys. We'll catch you on the next one, and we'll see you in a little bit.